Today we drop the J-bomb.
Hi, welcome to our 97th episode of TGI Monday. I can't believe it's been that many for me and Simon anyway. Keep watching. We've got some plans for our 100th episode, so please do keep tuning in. Our question today is from Corinne Brooks via Facebook. Thanks, Corinne, for your question. And she asks, dear panel, how do we deal with the widespread use of Jesus' name as a swear word? How worried should we be about it, and what can we do about it? I'll kick off this one with saying it used to be something that stressed me out a lot until I met Hal. I keep mentioning Hal because I'm still missing him. And I remember really being shocked when I went, oh my God, going, oh, he's such a bad, terrible Christian. And then I looked at his mission and his ministry in that community. And because he was cool about things that everybody else says, and in fact deliberately joined in with that, his church grew. He was somebody that people could go and talk to. And actually it made him not this alien creature that people think priests are. So in a weird way, it was very good for mission to have him to be doing that, which is one of the reasons why I really lighten up about that stuff now, because people stop talking all the time when somebody says, oh my God, oh, I'm so sorry. And then that's all we talk about. So I personally think, Corinne, we don't need to worry about it at all. In fact, I might suggest that we maybe just need to lighten up a lot on it. What do you reckon? Tamar?
I think when I was younger, it used to make me uncomfortable when people said it because my parents had drilled into me so much, like, you can't use the Lord's name in vain, like, don't blaspheme.
Yeah.
She would always, but always tell us off for it.
It's what good Christians do, isn't it? We don't do that.
Well, when people did it at school, I was like, oh, how dare they? Like, it really shocked me. But I also think that because, like, watching Netflix and YouTube and just being, like, not living in a Christian bubble so much at uni and stuff, I kind of don't notice it at all anymore. Like, it goes straight over my head, so I don't feel like I have that much of an opinion on it.
Because people are generally expressing surprise.
Yeah.
They're not
and also, I'm
consciously
not sure
using
that it's
God's
a
name.
swear word. Like, I'm not sure that people are thinking that they're swearing when they're doing it, or even intending it to be a negative
people aren't
thing.
thinking that. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think that, do not take the
But-
Lord's name in
but
vain. It
surely-
says that. So
The definition of a swear word, though, is if someone's intending to swear, they're intending to cuss and curse.
Yeah, but what does it also mean, taking the Lord's name in vain? Damien, can you tell us something about the audience that was... So it's in the 10 Commandments. Third commandment, do not take the Lord's name in vain. Are they talking about not saying, oh my God, when something surprises you, or Jesus?
Hard to say. It's about reverence, isn't it? It's about remembering that the name is holy.
Are we talking about God as well? Because God isn't God's name, is it? That's a title.
But the name of God is still a sacred thing.
Yes.
Because it is a window onto the divine. And when we address God, we use God's name or one of God's titles. In fact, the Lord's name was so sacred, it was not to be said.
At all.
At all. And even in Scripture, there is a shorthand for it rather than the name of God himself. So therefore you realise that the
Yahweh.
the extent, the four letters, the extent to which they go out of their way not to use the name of God. And the name of God, of course, is that which condemns Jesus. When the Sanhedrin asked Jesus, are you the Messiah, the Son of the living God? He says, I am, which of course is the name that God gave to Moses at the burning bush. So, and that's when it all kicked off, when we started tearing our robes. And
So the name there is a really important theological thing about God's name, but is that what's going on here when people are using colloquial language? Because people were going about, in that context, I've read a really interesting couple of articles on this stuff, and somebody was making the point really clearly that in the context that was written, that people were invoking their God, in the name of Baal, I curse you, or
Sure.
and actually David constantly, the Psalms are full of people invoking the name of God for my own personal gain, and so I think that commandment is a warning against saying, and God says you will die because you are my enemy, and actually that is the context. So, but is that really what's happening in our culture? And do you think that it's possible that we are focusing on the wrong thing here?
Don't know. In the Lord's Prayer, one of the very first things that is said in the Lord's Prayer, which is the perfect prayer and pattern of our praying, is,
Yep.
May your name be held holy, hallowed be thy name.
Yeah.
So the name is to be held holy,
Yes.
and therefore is set apart, is not for common use, is not to be used when you hit your thumb with a hammer or wish to invoke curses upon the opposing football supporter or whatever
Yeah.
it might be.
Do you think there's I know I keep interrupting, but do you think there's a difference between OMG and Jesus Christ? Because actually I still have the same reflex, and I'd bollock my kids if they do it as well. Because actually I think there's something about the Jesus, because that is, as you say, such an important
The sacred
strand,
name,
but
yes, the
OMG,
holy name of Jesus.
it doesn't bother me anymore at all.
OMG means oh my goodness, as far as I'm
It's
Yeah.
concerned.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a
Oh my
surprise.
golly.
It's easy to swap in,
Yeah.
and people they're not consciously taking the Lord's name. And
No.
God is the title, not the name. God doesn't say, "Call me God." Yahweh, the eternal word, all those other core things to do with God's name isn't God. So I'm okay with
It's
that.
evidence of people being detached
Yeah,
from the kind of value system that we're all blithely talking about here.
yeah,
People are detached from that, and this is part of everyday language currency, as it were. It's the way people express themselves. I don't like it.
do you pick people up on it?
I tend to stand there and look at them, and if they react...
Disappointed.
No.
Because people are definitely disconnected, but how helpful is it? If we go,
I'll kind of freeze slightly,
right?
but...
Even without, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. But I think also I have to remember that I'm the only person whose behaviour I can affect.
Yeah.
I decide how I behave, and I choose not to use those things because I believe it's irreverent and perhaps even blasphemous to do so. I'm not in control of the consciences or lives of other people. If they,
I think that's
But
an
we can
important
bring it.
thing.
We can bring it to someone else's attention, and that, in a way,
Can.
is a form of witness. I remember once
Is
filming.
it?
I don't think that's a good
corporate-
way to get the message across to
It's
people.
not a great
though.
one, but
It's a bad way, I think.
once in a blue moon, it's it just brings people's attention to it. I mean, I remember a director flopping down next to me at lunch one day, long morning. Said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise we were saying grace." You can just
Okay, in a
just bring
funny
it-
way, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think if you do it in a way that's like
Oh, don't be
like
heavy.
disapproving, that would make me feel
Not
if
heavy,
if I felt
yeah,
anything, I would
not
feel
any
mad
time.
at them and like, how dare they say something to me? Do you know
Yeah,
what
and
I mean?
I think it adds potentially to the disconnect.
Like a
that
holier
peop-
than thou attitude
Yeah.
that they have.
Yeah, which is why I found it so. I still have a reflex, and I don't say it actually, but I just remember really watching that with Hal, because he really does say it, and what it does is it puts the people that he's witnessing way more. The witness isn't don't blaspheme. The witness is God loves you and longs for you to be with. Come and discover who I am. I think sometimes it makes it harder for people to want to talk to us if they're worried about what they're going to say.
Are we truly doing that if by doing that we're devaluing the holy?
If that's what we're doing, but I don't think saying OMG does that. I think you're right. We can only affect our behaviour and ours, but I think there's a real danger that we do a holier than thou thing. I think you're right, Tim.
Well, I do also think, personally, I don't say like, oh my God and stuff, because I
Me
don't feel
neither.
comfortable doing that.
No, me neither.
But then at the same time, most of my friends do. Like, I don't hang around with Christians most of the time, and I think that I'm a better witness to them just being myself and not doing things like that and not swearing, and them noticing that rather than me being in their face about it.
And it does matter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Our conduct is an important way that we tell the story of who God might be. But people expect us to be really pious and reactionary, and I think actually it's bigger than that potentially, and I'm willing to be uncomfortable in order to for someone else to be at ease talking to me.
I also feel like it's a small thing to get, just personally, I think it's a small thing to get built up about. Like, they don't feel like they're doing it in a way.
They're not trying to blaspheme.
Yeah.
But it obviously is quite important to a lot of people, and obviously, Damien, you're one of those.
Well, I would hate to be painted as someone who would, nail you to the back fence if you were to use an expression I disapproved of.
Oh, that's a relief. Your parishioners will be really pleased. So don't worry if you've accidentally done it and you're in his church.
They are, on the whole, relieved. Lots of things. But if
Gonna need a bigger fence.
If it's, you should see the size of the one we've got already. If it's about... if there is a contact or a conversation, I'm not going to degrade the conversation by kind of pulling people away from the point by insisting upon it some sort of linguistic exactitude where all of this is concerned.
Yeah.
But what I will do is, if I think that the holy name is being degraded or devalued, then I will say so.
Yeah.
Gently. I remember one time I witnessed a pastoral encounter between a very down-and-out person and a priest, and this person kept kept dropping what Ned Flanders called the J-bomb.
The J-bomb, I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, not the J-bomb.
Yeah.
And he said, "Stop talking like that about Jesus. He's just about the only friend you've got at the moment."
Oh, that is a perfect way to end. I'm afraid we're out of time. But the J-bomb. So whether you hear it, whether you use it, and I think we're probably all agreed that you don't drop the J-bomb because it feels wrong if you're in a relationship with God and you're discovering the holiness of God. But I think... well, you know my view, but Corinne, I would say we can only ever be in control of what we do, and as above all things, we need to be loving our neighbour, maybe not telling them off for swearing.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like us, to share, to subscribe, and please, please, please keep the questions coming in.
No,